Howdy, hey, my ecological fiends. My name's Cedar. I'm a full-time guide out here in Moab, Utah. I do whitewater, backcountry, overland, and 4x4 guiding. These are my first aid kits. This was a video request, so we're just going to basically do a quick overview of what's inside of here. The video is probably not going to be too short, but we're also not going to go into huge depth about the applications of all these things. This is meant to be kind of a crash course. If you don't know what to put in your first aid kit, you could put some of these things in here, but this is by no means professional medical advice. If you have an emergency, hang up and call 911. And you should design your own medical kits based off of what you need, not based off of what I need. So first things first here, these two bags are at the bottom of my backpack here. This is my everyday guiding bag. If you want to see what's in here, I have a separate video called What's in My EDC, which is an everyday carry bag. So part of my EDC is these two. They go right in here, and you'll notice the way that I'm holding these, they've got quick draw straps to rip these both out really quickly. You'll also notice that these two bags are two different colors. I've got a trauma bag and a slightly less trauma bag. The specific design of this kit is really good. I think it's very multi-purpose, and it's allowed me to transition these bags into different functions in different places in my life. First of all, we've got a ton of clippage and straps and fun stuff like that out here. So on this trauma one, you'll notice that I don't actually keep this one clipped, but we'll clip this now just for kicks. And then on the back here, we've got a MOLLE adaptable system, so you can strap this to anything. I've also, in the past, strapped this to part of the arm strap right here. So I put one of these on both sides if I know that I'm gonna need this for whatever I'm doing, which hopefully I don't. So we've got this front strap here to keep everything organized. We've got these MOLLE straps here. You can even put this on your hip too. We've got these two loops so you can actually hang it from a nail. And then finally, we've got this quick rip Velcro. So you could even mount this on a wall and be able to tear this off really quickly. I also usually have a Sharpie up here, which I actually don't have on here right now because it's in my top section there, so I know how to get that quickly, but it wouldn't hurt to carry two Sharpies. So we'll go over the trauma kit first. This is the, oh my god, somebody's arm has just been ripped off, oh my god, somebody just fell off of a cliff. This is what we need. And this does not include my emergency beacon either, which is in my EDC, and it's also in my pocket. I carry two when I'm working, one for myself and one that my company allows me to carry, just to add a redundancy there. So out here, I've got a set of nitrile gloves that are fit to me. I'm a size medium. It's important that your gloves fit. It's most important, though, that your gloves are not too small, because if they're too large, you can deal with it, but if they're too small, you're going to rip through and you're going to eliminate the point of the blood, which is of the gloves, which is to protect yourselves from mostly bloodborne pathogens there. So somebody once said to me that's not very sanitary to have your gloves out here hanging on the side of your bag, which, yeah, that's a totally good point, but at the end of the day, these gloves are to protect me, not my client. Of course, it would be nice if I could carry a giant pack of perfectly sterilized gloves out there, but the fact of the matter is keeping these on the outside of my bag allows me to begin working on my client 10-15 seconds sooner, because I'm not ripping open my bag and searching for the pair of gloves and getting them on. I just pull these out and they're on my hands right away. Over here, this actually isn't part of a medical kit, but I found it on trail and I thought it was pretty cool. This is a rock duster as far as I can tell. I think this part is for a erase board. But if you push this out, there's a little brush. So theoretically you could, I don't know, brush fine hairs off of somebody if you needed to. This isn't actually, it does not actually have a medical solution here too. Then I've got trauma shears too. This is also my regular scissors that I just have. I don't own a pair of scissors anymore. So I basically just push that in, and then I can get these trauma shears right out. I will also sometimes carry these in my pants, but it's important to have these on the outside because they're quick and easy. And I've also found these the single-use medicine pouches and things like that I end up using in the field when I'm in the heat of it and I'm sweating and it's just everything's moving really quickly. I like to use the trauma shears to open up medicine pouches. So this is usually strapped on here. It just popped off for a second. So then you pull this open, and then we can open up our kit here. So I flip it open like this, and then this part opens as well. So I've got soap notes here. So this is basically what I will fill out to pass on to the next first responder when the patient gets in the helicopter or gets in the ambulance. Whatever they're doing, it has their name, age, weight, all their sensory things, what happened, the times of everything, their ANOs, everything. Okay, so this is like gold, especially if your patient goes unconscious there. Okay, so this will pop out. This allows me to pass this off with the Sharpie to somebody so that I can continue working on my patient and I can get a recorder right on scene right away. So next up, we've got my tourniquet here. This is a CAT tourniquet, or a combat application tourniquet, meaning that you can put this on with one hand. So you can even put this on yourself. When I'm backpacking by myself or with somebody, this is one of two things medically that I carry with me. I'll carry a CAT tourniquet and an ACE bandage. ACE bandage is for comfort. This is for an emergency, because most things in the field, you're going to be able to survive, okay? If you need a tourniquet, you're in really serious trouble if you don't have one. At the end of the day, if you have a really bad headache, you're going to be fine, so you can sacrifice the weight of carrying something like ibuprofen. But these two pieces of my kit here are for a professional setting. I want my clients and patients, hopefully just clients, to be comfortable, to be safe, and to be able to enjoy their trip and know that I've got their back with all this stuff. So a lot of this is actually just comfort stuff, but I carry it anyway. So I'll show you how this one works real quick. It's super easy, and remember, this is designed for one person to be able to put on themselves. So you'll put that on, you'll pull this sucker super tight all the way around, you twist this guy. I'm not actually going to do it on myself all the way. You can tuck that in here. There's a Velcro strap that lifts up. You'll tuck that underneath there, and you'll write the time that you put the tourniquet on there. Look at that, my biceps are so big, the tourniquet can't even hold me. After that is this syringe right here. So I'm Narcan certified. You can be Narcan certified too. It's pretty easy. You just go to a lot of your local multicultural centers in towns, and rehabilitation centers will allow you to train with Narcan. Narcan is naloxone, if you didn't know. It aids with opioid overdoses. It helps the person stay alive long enough for them to get to advanced life support so that they can get to the hospital and survive. But this is the dosage here, so I carry 2 of these with me just to kind of extend the time that the person is able to wait for the ambulance. So you'll just use this needle here, go in there, and then give it to the person. I won't go into the training here on how to do that. One thing to look out for if you're going to include Narcan in your kit is a lot of these needles, not this one specifically, but a lot of them are designed to swallow the actual pin itself. So make sure that your needle is multi-use, or make sure that you're carrying multiple needles and don't use the same needle for different patients. Okay, once again, this video is not professional medical advice, so get actually trained from somewhere, not from this YouTube video, please. We've got a bunch of gauze floating around here. We've also got a breathing barrier. I carry probably 3 or 4 of these on me at any given time. My PFD, my backpack inside here, and 1 extra just floating around. Okay, so breathing barrier there. That's basically a one-way vent that allows you to give rescue breaths to your patient without having them, if they happen to vomit or anything like that, without that actually coming into you and providing an infection risk. This is what another breathing barrier looks like. This is usually the type that I carry on me. I imagine you can probably get these for free at your nearest fire station or hospital. I've also got some sanitizing wipes here, some gauze. You'll notice there's loose gauze that's not sealed in a package here. I do not use this for clients. This is for myself if I need it. I've got a couple Band-Aids here. Got a wad of loose gauze here. And you will also make the connection here that this kit, like I said earlier, this is the trauma kit. This is big trouble, need help right now kit. Okay. We've also got hand sanitizer here. And in here, in this back pocket, we've got the big guns. We've got an extra absorbent ABD band. And then we've got an emergency dressing. So this sucker is huge. This is like the helicopter's been called. We need this. And this thing weighs about 1/8 of a pound. That's how big this is. You'll see how thick this is. This is like a sandwich thickness. But I won't take it out for you because it's sealed and sterile. But those are the basic designs here. Use this for a really big wound. And one more thing I've got in here is Z-packed gauze. So this is for packing a wound, gunshots, deep incisions, things like that. So what you do with this is you basically open it, and it's like an accordion style of gauze, so you can throw it over your shoulder and just pack and pack and pack, rather than having to cut and rip apart all this other gauze. This stuff is ready to go immediately, because if somebody's got a wound that needs to be packed, you do not want to be wasting time on unfolding your gauze like that. These bags are cotton. They are not waterproof. So if I know that it's going to be raining or know I'm going to be on the water, I'll put both of these inside of a dry bag. But it's also important to air your kits out if you're in a humid area, and have a drain hole at the bottom just in case something spills. One other note here is you'll notice that I've got 2 patches here. If something's gone really, really wrong and someone's frantically looking for a first aid kit, they're ripping open people's backpacks, or if I have to send somebody to go and get my first aid kit if it's not on me, they're going to look for this symbol, right? So it's more important that they have this symbol on this first aid kit and not on the one that's not immediate trauma, because the last thing I want is to tell somebody to go get my first aid kit because somebody's bleeding on the ground and then bring me back the bag with the ibuprofen instead of the gauze, right? We don't want that. So to minimize confusion there, and also because these 2 bags are nearly the same color, right? I know that the darker one is my trauma kit, but to reduce confusion, I put this patch on here, and you'll also notice that this is reflective, so this will light up at night too, if it's in a car or in the bottom of a boat, whatever. People can see this, and this is the international first aid symbol, so they know to grab this. And it's also a Velcro patch, so that'll pull off too if you need to reorganize things. This is the less of an emergency kit here. So you'll notice there's nothing hanging out on the front here. Sometimes I'll have extra pens there. Got my 511 always be ready patch here. Just because I like the way it looks. And these bags open the same way. So we'll open this one up. We've got some more gauze here in case all that other stuff runs out. This is the first thing that you can grab when this opens up. Just grab the gauze right away. Pretty sweet. This folds open. This section has a bunch of single-use medications in it. We've got Benadryl, we've got Claritin, we've got the stomach stuff, we've got Dramamine, all that fun stuff in single-use packages here. I don't condone single-use stuff normally, but this is really the best way to do it, because that way, say you're just encountering somebody on trail, they're not hiking with you, and they need something from here. This way you're not just handing people loose pills, and it reduces a lot of the potential issues with that. A lot of liability is reduced by doing this, so even though it's slightly more waste, which I don't agree with, it really is the way to go in this kind of first aid kit and in these kind of situations. We've also got even more backup gauze here, and I've got some other medications. One big thing to carry is aspirin, for sure. You definitely want some aspirin with you, and then I've got ibuprofen here too. So these are the 2 main things that I'll be giving to people, or I'll be recommending to people. And then over here, we've got an open ace bandage, just because they are in fact reusable. But if you see the EDC video, you know that I also carry a waterproof sealed one of these, basically in saran wrap, so it always stays dry. But you always wash these after you use them, and then the first aid kit is a very clean place to live, for something to live, right? So we've got that. We've also got this, which is my backup headlamp. I carry a regular headlamp with me at all times, but it's important that this one has SOS. This you can give to a secondary rescuer if they don't have theirs, but I always have my first aid kits with me in the field, so if something happens where we're outside after dark and we need an extra set of headlamps, I've got this. I've also got 3M transport tape, so you can use this to close an open wound by creating X dressings on there. You can also use it for a ton of other stuff, so I won't list them all off. But this stuff's pretty good to have. Down in the bottom here, I've got a smaller ring of tape to tape some bandages on there. I've also got this, which looks like cocaine. Believe it or not, I actually got through the airport with this twice, and nobody even asked about it. I always get searched. I even got searched, but nobody asked about this. This is a homemade set of electrolyte salts. So it's magnesium sulfate, potassium, and sodium iodide in here. And this, I live in a very hot place. We're sweating a lot here, and everybody knows that there's 2 parts of hydration. One part is water, and the other part's the salts. So this is kind of the rescue me solution that I mix with a little bit of water, and then people will feel better. And this is betadine. This isn't in the best packaging, but this is an antiseptic that you can spray onto a wound to clean it out real quick. This is just a portable one. This is the one that I prefer to use, and this is what a lot of hospitals use too. I've also got a SAM splint here. This is nice and rolled up, so I'm not going to open it for you, But basically what this is a sheet of aluminum covered in foam. So you can use these to splint things in a couple different ways. If you are getting one of these, which I definitely do recommend, check out some videos about how to use a SAM splint. You can use them from everything to stabilizing a neck to an ankle. It's a really amazing and very versatile piece of equipment to have, and I always have at least one of these on me. I usually actually have two. On the other side here, we've got a triangle bandage. This is mostly to stabilize arms if somebody hurts their arm. But you can use it for a lot of other things too. You can even use it for emergency gauze. I've actually got two of them in here in case the person breaks both of their arms. And I also carry a bandana or a couple of those on me every time that I'm out in the field. So multiple options for stabilizing wounds like that. Down here I've got super salve. This isn't really for patients. This is mostly for friends and myself. It's just a topical soothing agent. It's full of essential oils and stuff like that. It's actually melted shut right now, so I can't open it. So it's a good thing it's not for emergencies. But yeah, this will help you relieve your headaches and stuff like that. I also carry Tiger Balm in my bag as well, which is good for more topical relief, but I don't really use that with professional clients. It's mostly for myself and friends. And finally, I've got an extra pair of gloves in here. I roll them up with a rubber band like this. That way you can just toss these to people and they can put on the gloves there. That's about it for my first aid kits. If you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to drop them in the comments. And please, this is not professional medical advice. You're not certified in anything now. This is just what I would recommend to fill your first aid kit with. And once again, your first aid kits should be flexible with what you have and what you need. So this is, I use this for up to 6 people. After I hit the 6-person mark on a trip, I will carry more than this. And it also varies on the amount of days that you're going to be out for. So this is up to 3-day kit right now that we just went through. So keep that in mind. This is a very high flexible design. You're going to need to change things to make this work for you. Okay. A couple companies that I recommend. North American Rescue is where I get all of my medical supplies from. They do offer pro deals if you're a medical professional or if you're like a guide like me. You can apply for a pro deal, which is where you get a discount for using their products. And you do have to apply, though. It's like an interview process and everything. But they actually sell pre-made first aid kits. In most places, your kits will come in bags like this, and half the price actually pays for the bag. But one thing that I really like about North American Rescue is that they have very good high quality stuff at an affordable price, but you can buy refill kits without the whole bag. So you know, it's a lot of the first aid kits, especially online and at drugstores and stuff that you get, they're aimed at consumers, not field professionals. And so it's more about the design and the look and covering the liability of actually having a first aid kit. It's not for the actual function of having a first aid kit. And when you're designing your kit, you also want to think about, can I use this for more than one thing? That's part of the reason that I love the SAM splint. I can think of 20 uses for this thing right now, as well as the triangular bandages, right? And that's another reason that I got these specific bags. I got them off of eBay, by the way, is because they're just so adaptable, you know? One of the rules that I try and follow in my life is to never buy anything that only has one use. One of the rules that I try and follow in my life is to never buy or keep anything that only has one use. There's a few things that are exceptions to that, of course, but it's a good rule of thumb to have to reduce the amount of things that you have and make sure that you are actually going to use what you have, okay? And there's a couple things in a first aid kit that you want to make sure that you have extra of. I've got way too much gauze in here. If we need this much gauze, we're in a lot of trouble, but if you're using your first aid kit and you're using all the gauze in there, you're probably in a lot of trouble anyway. So you want to have extras of things. You don't want to carry one aspirin tablet. You don't want to carry, you know, this much betadine because it's not going to do anything. And you also want to consider what kind of comfort things you need. Just like if you're backpacking or living out of your car or things like that, you want to find that compromise, that gray area between just barely scraping by and having too much stuff, right? You want to find the spot where you and your clients, and hopefully not patients, but potential patients, can be comfortable with the supplies that you're carrying, but you also don't want to be carrying 40 pounds of equipment in addition to whatever you have, you know, 40 pounds of medical equipment. So think about this, test it, and there is a rule that a lot of people follow to help clear out space. I use this in my personal spaces, and the rule is that if you don't use something for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then you should get rid of that. So that works really well for personal spaces. Like say if you've got 20 mugs and you only use 10 of them, then you can get rid of those other 10 mugs. But in a first aid kit, there's a lot of things that you don't want to have to use, but just because you haven't had to use them yet doesn't mean that you won't have to use them. Like the tourniquet, for example. That's a clean tourniquet. It's brand new. I've never used it. But I don't want to have to use it, and if I do have to use it, I want to have it. Okay, so just be very conscious of all of this. Be very mindful and intentional about designing your kit. Think about it. Think about the potential scenarios you might run into, and customize it for what you're doing. For example, I'm going hunting this week, so what I'm doing is I'm sizing this down, and I'm probably not going to carry ibuprofen and aspirin, but you better bet your haunches that I'm going to pack that wound packing gauze, right? Because what's the #1 cause of hunting injuries with firearms? Gunshots, right? So I'm going to bring my gauze for that. I wouldn't bring ibuprofen for that. So think about what you're doing. Just think about the whole thing, please. I'm begging you. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, drop them down below. This video was a request from a viewer, so if you want to see anything on the channel, doesn't have to be related to first aid, but extra bonus points if it is, please drop it down below, and if it's not ridiculous, I'll do it. Alright, thanks for watching. If you enjoy the amount of effort and time that I put into videos, please consider subscribing and dropping me a like. It really does make a huge difference. The channel is bigger than any YouTube channel that I've ever had so far, and I'm very proud of where it is. And it's because of you. So thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Stay hungry and don't need to use your first aid kits. Please be careful. Be careful.